Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marsha. It's been a while. Again.
I know. Our lives right now are just a little busy. Yours especially.
Well, thankfully, my life is getting back to normal again.
Okay. Do tell.
So last week, a week ago Thursday, today is Friday, so not yesterday, but a week ago, we had our last negotiation session, our second mediation session. And usually mediation does not go more than two sessions. So, we were expecting that we would either have a settlement at the end of mediation, which wasn't looking all that likely, to be honest, or we would be put into fact-finding, which is basically the pathway toward a strike. And so, we're doing all this stuff. We're organizing. We're getting plans ready. I planned an event for that day. There are lots of times in our lives these days probably where we feel our age. But the event that I wanted to have, and I had talked about it a few different times with the committee, was a teach-in. And got zero traction. Nobody was interested. It was oh yeah, okay, whatever. And then they'd move on to other conversation. And so finally I just decided, okay, nobody wants to do the same old thing with picketing and that kind of stuff on the second mediation day. So I'm going to advocate for having a teach-in during the second mediation day, because we need to have student support. If we're going to end up going out on strike, we really need to have student support. And our students really didn't know much about what the situation was. And so we're going to have a teach-in. We're going to talk about labor history, and we're going to talk about our own situation, and we're going to talk about the, how negotiations works and recent events. CSU was on strike that week. They were having a rolling strike that went from one campus to another over the course of 5 days. Starbucks has been unionizing, Amazon. So we're just going to have a teach-in about I don't think anybody knew what a teach-in was. I suddenly thought, okay, they have no context. Now, to be fair, I wasn't, I was born in 1962. So, when they were having the teach-ins during the 60s and early 70s about the Vietnam War, I wasn't plugged into that at all. It's not like I have memories of it, but all of a sudden I realized my colleagues have zero concept of the historical value of a teach-in. And so I talked with another friend, and she said, well, why don't you call it a TED Talk? Because people know what TED Talks are. And then we got to talking, and she's like, oh, I know. It'll be a Red for Ed talk. Because, all the strikes have, the teacher strikes have used the slogan Red for Ed. And a lot of the teacher strikes have had, red shirts and anyway. Red for Ed is a thing, And so we started talking about it that way, and all of a sudden people realized what we wanted to do. So you had
to rebrand it.
Yes. And so we had some speakers, and not as many as I would have liked. We didn't have our equipment set up the way we had originally planned. Something happened with our facilities request. And so it didn't go the way I had hoped. but everybody thought it was pretty good. So that was happening last week. And now I've sort of lost the thread because in amongst that discussion, my earbud fell out and I had to retrieve it from the ground and tell the computer, no, I don't want to use the earbuds for GarageBand. I have to listen to the phone through my earbuds. Anyway, so now I've lost the thread, but mediation. So the mediation day actually went on for 16 hours. They were there until just after 1 a.m., starting at 9. So, but we got a contract. That's the most important part. We got a tentative agreement. So we're currently in the voting process, in the ratification process. We got competitive salaries. We got the benefits for our part-time faculty, which was one of the most important items. So now they have the same benefits that the full-time faculty have, and they have, the cost of their benefits is the same as the cost of our benefits, the full-time faculty's benefits, which is not very much. So that was a huge, huge win. And everybody's feeling pretty good, although, knock on wood, it's not over till the vote's over. So yeah. Good news all around
Very
here.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
you kind of feel like you're going to get your life back a little bit.
I do.
Yeah.
No, it's been a big, big time suck. And so Friday was, so Thursday night late, waking up in the middle of the night, reading texts, going back to sleep, waking up again, reading more texts about how it's going. Finally going to sleep at, about 1:30, knowing that it was done. And then on Friday, just kind of walking in a daze right through work. And then Saturday we up and left and went camping. So I was gone Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and came back Tuesday. So I had a nice actually a really nice break. Like, okay, that's settled. Start life after contract negotiations, which was really nice. And then we got back Tuesday, and I was at a board meeting that night, and I texted, Robert was in the audience, and I texted him and I said, I really want to be back in the woods. Like, get me out of this board meeting. Take me back to the woods and the trailer.
Yes.
So anyway, but yeah, good news here going into the holidays. Today's the last day of the semester. Last day of classes. My colleagues will be doing grading, but I don't have grading to do. And I have some cleanup to do in terms of union and Senate work, but curriculum work and stuff. But yeah, my vacation starts soon.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
And this break is pretty long, isn't it? Like almost
a month.
It's a month, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have plans for this month of things you want to do?
Well, I'm working on the curtains for the trailer, which I'll talk about more in the projects. That's one big thing. I really want to make some good progress on that. And then I'm hoping we can get out camping again. And there's a new campground we want to try that is in Gilroy. So it's like not a summer campground, but this would be the perfect time. So we got a recommendation from some people that we met just this past weekend. So hopefully we'll maybe get a chance to try that campground this winter. Okay. So what about you? I think I literally haven't talked to you except maybe 1 or 2 texts since our last episode.
Yeah, we have not talked since the last episode. Well, I'm going to say I posted the pictures of this, but I'm going to give a shout out to the community college system. My son's girlfriend is in culinary school at Seattle Central College up on Capitol Hill. And you can go and have lunch up there. There's 3 restaurants. There's like a cafe coffee bar. Then there's a a bistro. I think they serve pizzas and that sort of thing. And then there's the fine dining. And we went to the fine dining, and she was there. I don't know all the ins and outs of the course how they do this, but they have times that they're assigned to that dining. They're assigned to all the different dining areas. Sometimes they're cooking, sometimes they're cleaning up, sometimes they're waiting. So she happened to be waiting. So she was waited on us, and it was super fun. I won't go into all the details about what we ate, but it's very reasonably priced. And we did make a reservation. I think you can just walk in. You don't necessarily have to make a reservation, but it said it was recommended. And it's hard to find. It's not very well marked inside the building. But I just asked students and different people, and we got there. But really, really fun. And they're doing an excellent job. And
that's cool.
She was being graded while she was waiting on us. And so very fun and really interesting to see just the teaching that's going on and the different faculty. So the chefs that are there and people there was a woman who was overseeing the dining, and we had some tableside prepping, cooking, two things, an appetizer and a dessert that they did tableside. And she came and did a little correction, and it was really fun to see this teaching situation.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that. And I imagine culinary programs at different community colleges across the country probably allow people to come, because how else are you going to practice and teach, right? Unless you're cooking for people every day. So if there's one in your area and you can go, I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But a shout out to community colleges.
Thank you. Yes, that's a that's a nice thing.
Yeah. Anyway, well, should we talk projects?
Yeah. It looks like you have quite a few things to talk about.
Yes, I do. Well, first I have to say, I'm so excited about the first thing that I finished, Santa's Laundry Line by Eleonore von Castelmur. I finished that and washed and blocked them. And I even bought little teeny tiny microscopic black buttons to sew on his little suit and oh my gosh, what a fiddly knitting project. But it is so cute, darling. And the only thing a mistake I made, and I didn't even really think about this at all. It didn't cross my mind, which is kind of ridiculous that I didn't think about this, is, like he has a red suit with, then you have white yarn that you pick up and knit stitches around that to make like the fur on his red hat. And his long johns are white, but they have some red, like a red placket in the front. And then he has like a flap in the back of the long johns that it has like a red border on it, or I put a red border on it.
Oh, cute.
And I washed and blocked everything, and I did not even think about the fact that the red would bleed.
Oh, man.
So he's slightly pink. Now, if you just go and his long johns are slightly pink. We're going to blame it on Mrs. Claus. I know that's very sexist of me to say that, but Mrs. Claus did his laundry. Or maybe Santa did his own laundry and was not listening to Mrs. Claus, who said, "Do
she
not
was
put that
visiting her sister, and he needed things washed."
Yes. Anyway, but it's not too bad, actually. I mean, I think if you see them lined up and you look at them, you don't go, "Oh my gosh, it's pink." If you put the white skein of yarn next to it, you go, "Ooh, that's a little pink." But it doesn't look bad. But what I should have done is just reskein the red yarn and washed it really well before I knit with it.
Yeah.
So if anybody's thinking about making it, if you use acrylic, I don't think you're going to have this issue, right? Acrylic is not going to bleed, or I don't even know. Does acrylic red yarn bleed like it does?
Acrylic really doesn't bleed much. I haven't had that experience. It's pretty color fast.
And then the other thing is, the other option is is not washing and blocking them. However, I think you really need to because they're very curly and like his jacket would curl and stuff. So
I'm looking at your picture. They are really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Really cute. And Betty made hers. She made hers out of worsted weight acrylic yarn. And she did not do the red on the Long John's placket. I think that's really cute. Or on the back, the back seat end of it. But hers are darling. They're hanging in the kitchen. That window in the kitchen that used to be the window out to the porch, but now is the window to her room. Mm-hmm. She has them hanging there, and they're just darling. But hers are bigger, because they're worsted weight. Hers are bigger, so the clothespins that you sent her didn't work. She broke them trying to get them around the thickness of the fabric.
Well, and let me say too, mine, I didn't break them, but they they're like old fashioned, those clothespins that you pinch, right? And I'd pinch them and they would bend, they'd twist. So so I did mine out of fingering weight. So the size works. But so did she find different clothespins?
Yeah, she found bigger? Different clothespins, a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And that worked fine. And so now it's hanging out there. It's very cute. And I was teasing her because she was her mittens are dark green. And so when you look through the window in the kitchen toward the dark hallway, through the window into her hallway, which when the light is off, is dark, the mittens just disappeared. And so it looked like a gap in her laundry line. And she's like, okay, that's not going to work. So she actually hung the mittens around the neck of the jacket. But I was teasing her because every time I came in, they were hanging the mittens were hanging slightly differently. So she was fiddling with the laundry line for about a day to get it, the way she wanted it. But it's really darling.
Yeah,
very cute project. Clever idea.
Okay, I have to stop. I realize podcasting. So as people know, we sit here and knit while we podcast. And I just realized I'm working on a cabled hat, and I twisted one of the cables. I did the wrong way.
Oh no.
So I thought, it's like 2 rows down. So I knit 1 row, and I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just pull those stitches out and do it the right way. I can't do that while I do.
Like just drop down, drop down and correct the mistake.
No, okay. Set this aside. I can't do this right now. I'm going to drop this down on the floor. Set that aside, and I will grab a sock.
Yes, get a different project. Yes, don't have live on the air disasters.
No, that was not good to do that. So
sort of like the day a couple episodes ago where I realized I was picking up for the gusset without having turned the heel first. Just like, okay, nope. This is just I'm just ripping this out right now and putting it back in the bag.
I thought, I can just do this. Like, no, I cannot do that. Okay. Anyway, so Santa's laundry line is done. Adorable. I will say Betty probably was right to make it out of the worsted weight. It would be a lot easier. It's very fiddly with that fingering weight. When you have I think you cast on sometimes 12 stitches or something, or like the socks. I mean, it's very tiny, but anyway, it's done and adorable. I have another finished project. I made a hat for my son for Christmas. And it's the Mossy Lane hat by Daleside Knits. And I used Stonehedge Fiber Mill shepherd's wool worsted in the colorway berry. So it's kind of a burgundy color. And I actually gave him that yarn for Christmas. I didn't get the hat knit, so I gave it to him for Christmas 2 years ago. So I thought this year I'm going to actually knit it and give it to him. So he's he's basically getting the same gift 2 years, 2 Christmases. Anyway, I really like the pattern and I really like the yarn and the color of the yarn. I will say in hindsight, I don't know that they work, or that color, not the yarn, but the color works in that pattern. I don't know, Kelly, if you've looked at it. I posted a picture of it. In my projects, it's very dark. So I think the patterning might show up better if it was not quite so dark.
Yeah, but it has nice texture to it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's not the most show off, the best way to show off the pattern, it really has a nice texture.
And it's interesting about this hat too is that it's worsted weight, but you knit it on 6s, which is kind of a small needle for it.
But so it's real dense.
It's real dense, and I wonder if maybe that's why the pattern doesn't show up as well. Where if you look at, like I did the Ames Beanie, and that's on US 8s.
Oh yeah.
So I'm kind of, and that was out of Cascade 220 Superwash Merino, which is worsted weight. So I don't know. I mean, it's done. I'm not ripping it out. It'll be very warm because it is kind of dense. But that's just my only comment about it. I wonder if the color choice maybe is a little dark, because the ones I saw, most of the projects were lighter colored yarn.
Yeah.
So, anyway, and then, so I finished that. So I'll give that to Ben. And then I did, I'm giving his girlfriend the Ames Beanie, when I talked about that last week. That's her Christmas gift. And then I cast on another hat for my brother using, called Camella, Camella, by Katie Pomper. And I am using Meeker Street Olives Outerwear DK in the colorway Dragon's Breath. And I actually bought that color in mind of making a hat for my brother, but I cast it on and I changed my mind. I'm going to finish the hat, but I'm not going to give it to him. I'll just keep it for myself. Part of the reason is it's a series of, I can't remember now. What do you call that stitch where you, left leaning and right leaning stitches. So you, okay, let me look at the thing because I just added this in here today. Right twist and left twist stitches. So I believe the right twist you knit into the back of the second stitch on the left needle and then into the right, and then into the right stitch on the needle. And so it twists those stitches.
And then they sort of travel around the hat.
They travel around, yeah. And because you're doing that, you put stitch markers in. I don't know, say like every 20 stitches, you put in a stitch marker. Let's say that's your pattern. Well, because you're doing those knitting through the front and back of right and left, all that twisting, your markers sometimes end up in the wrong place.
Right.
So you have to, and she talks about this in the pattern that certain rows you're going to have to move your marker. I got very confused and I would end up with the wrong stitch count. So then I was, okay, don't judge me as a knitter, but I would then go like, I have too many stitches, so I just do a decrease, or I don't have enough stitches, so I do an increase. Yeah. And I just realized I am not going to get this done for him in time to give it to him for Christmas with all the other things I have going on. So I thought, I'm setting that one aside. I will finish it, but I cast on a different hat for him, and I cast on another Ames Beanie for him, and that the Ames Beanie is by Stephanie Larson. And this time I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Box Office worsted in the colorway Spiced Apple Cider.
That's pretty.
And the funny thing is the Meeker Street Olives in the Dragon Breath is almost the same color as the if you look at the picture, they look like they're the same color. I don't know. But the Leading Men Fiber Arts Spiced Apple Cider that I bought that for Mark also, and I had sort of forgotten that I had bought it for him. So I must think of orange when I think of him. But anyway, but this Leading Men Fiber Arts, I bought it I have fond memories because I bought it at String Theory Yarns in Seabrook that doesn't exist anymore. Our favorite yarn shop that's gone. So anyway, so I cast that on, and that's what I just made the mistake on just now. So it's setting it aside. So anyway, that's it for finished stuff and new stuff. Other stuff I've not even, flowers for my garden, my spinning project, I've not even picked that up. I am going to the beach on the day after Christmas, the 26th, for 3 nights. So I'm going to bring my spinning with me and hopefully finish that. And haven't even looked at the Nanny Meyer Tea Cozy and the Fine Sand, the cardigan by Heidi Kermeyer. That is on hold because I finished the body. I think when we last spoke, I was about to finish. I had a few more rows of the body. I actually finished the body, and now I have to pick up the sleeves and start knitting those. But I just set that aside because I wanted to get these hats done for Christmas. So I will, and I think what I may do if I have time is I may wash and block the body just to make sure I'm happy with the way the front lays. I am a little concerned because it is wool. And alpaca, it's a wool alpaca blend. I'm kind of worried that, sometimes wool, because it's springy, the front, I'm worried it might curl because it doesn't have a ribbing. It's just, I think it's 4 rows of garter stitch or 3 rows of garter stitch for that placket. And I'm worried that it might. So I thought if it's going to roll, I don't really want to have a sweater like that live with it. So I think I should wash and block it first before I decide if I'm going to go on with the sleeves. There's no point in doing the sleeves if I'm not happy with the body, right?
Right.
And then I'm just, because I had to stop my hat, I'm now back to my socks, the Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn, just a pair of vanilla socks. I'm knitting on that. And I've been knitting on it. I might be getting close to doing the toe of, decreasing for the toe of the first sock. So that's it for me on projects.
Okay. Well, you and I are probably in the same place with respect to socks because I'm still working on they're kind of a purplish gray color sock that I'm making for Robert. And I've put in some rows, but this is the ones that I ripped out that one day.
Right.
And then they sat for quite a while before I put them back on the needles. I think I got them back on the needles for the last episode. So I'd have something to knit on. And then, I've been knitting along on them, but I still have a little ways to go before I get to the toe. And this again is still the first sock. So these are just a slow project, and they're not something that's kind of high up in the rotation, so to speak. Not the first thing I grab. And then what I'm working on right now is another one of the squares. So with that little loom. And I think I'm up over 100 squares now, which is good. Maybe I was there last time. I don't remember. But I've done, I probably do at least 5 or 6 squares during a week. Even a bad week, I can get 5 or 6 squares done. So I have quite a few. The most recent batch I still need to wash, and then I keep saying this, but I am going to need to start sewing them together because the more I get, the more daunting it's going to feel to sew them. So I do want to get started sewing them together. I'm working on I'm now to the skeins, the solid skeins of the Mrs. Weasley's knitting from Weird Sisters Wool Emporium. I liked the prize we got from them so much that, that I bought some for myself. So, and speaking of prizes, let me just talk about sort of a shameful unfinished project. I have the prizes for the summer spin-in, both the pop-up prizes and that we did in the middle of summer, July, I think, and the ones we did at the end. And I still have not sent those out. Apologies to everyone. for those prizes being so late, but they are on my list to get done this during the break. So I have a lot of other stuff to mail, as you know. Holiday
you had a lot
time.
going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish I had done a better job, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But
well, maybe Robert could walk them over.
Well, they need to be packed. I mean,
Oh.
I need to pack them up, and some of them are already packed up, but some of them are not. And so I'll take them. And actually it'll be good because it will clean out my office. You know how at the end of the semester, things get kind of crazy and things get kind of messy, and sending all that stuff away to other people will clear up some space for me. So I am motivated to get it done. But I wanted to put that information out there because I also know there have been a couple of messages come through the email. I've seen them while I'm on my phone, of people, worried that maybe it got lost in the mail. And I just want to assure people that it can't have gotten lost in the mail because it's not in the mail.
It got lost in your pile of things to do. Right?
Yes. So I have some catching up to do both on the to use emails and also on the prizes. So that's an unfinished project that I'm planning to get finished in the coming vacation. So, but I'm working on these little squares, and they're just kind of addictive and fun and easy to just zip one up, and I'm to solid colors, which is not as much fun as when I was doing the variegated yarns. But they're still, the colors are fun. So,
well, I have my own confession about mailing things. Is I have for you some mini skeins that I went through I don't know when we last talked about this. I don't know if it was the last time we recorded or I don't know, but I found all these mini skeins.
Oh yeah, you sent me a text, I think. Yeah.
Yes, and so I sent you a text, and so I'm going to send you the mini skeins.
Cool.
And I also have for you. I don't think I mentioned this. I'm just going to tell you. I bought you a skein of yarn at Looped Fiber in
fun.
DC, and now that I've had since November. And so anyway, all of it I'm supposed to mail to you. So I have been sort of remiss in my mailing stuff. And I wanted to let you know I am going to send those little mini skeins.
Oh, cool. I'll have a little more variety.
So, but my plan is I'm going to mail them on Monday. People don't need to know all this stuff, but Enzo goes in for grooming on Monday. And where he gets groomed, there's one of those packaging places right next door or just across the street. So I'm going to... when I drop him off for grooming, I'll go drop the packages off. So, your packaging, I have other things I need to mail off too. So I'm going to get it all packaged up and take care of it on Monday. So you will get it, but I'm remiss also. So it got lost in my pile of things to do also.
Well, yeah, I mean, partly it is that it's not like I haven't had a spare minute to do it, but I would just forget that it was on my list, So anyway, the life's
well, we know we're bad podcasters, Kelly. So this
oh my gosh. Well, and so one other project that is on my list that I kept thinking, oh my gosh, why am I not working on this? Are the curtains for the club car, for the trailer. So I made the curtains for the bedroom, the side curtains last year, and I had them done in time for the November rally. I remember that was my goal. And then I just kind of totally forgot that I was going to do more. Well, I had kind of a disruption of my plan for the back window with that tablecloth that I really liked. It turned out it wasn't going to work because I needed 3 panels. I don't know why I didn't think of this, but I actually need 3 panels instead of 2 because they have to be stretched over 2 rods. And so it's not like you can just put your hand under the curtain and unlatch the window. And the window has 2 rods that you use to open the window. And so the window is divided into 3 parts, and you need space to be able to put your hand in to grab the latch to open the window. So I didn't really think that through as well as I should have when I started this idea of using this tablecloth for the curtains. And then also I had thought I knew where Robert was going to attach the bottom rod. And he said, no, I'm not going to attach it there. Here's where I'm going to attach it. And when I measured where he was planning to attach it, that tablecloth wasn't big enough anyway. So that plan was abandoned last summer. And then I just decided I was going to use the Swedish lace pattern that I had done on the side windows for the rest of the windows. Because what he wants is all the windows to have the same. All the windows to have the same curtains. So, but here it was, November again, going to the Pismo rally, still with a tablecloth in our back window, a different vintage tablecloth, because I had cut up the first one and realized it wasn't going to work. And so, and taped, right? Taped at the bottom with blue painter's tape. Not during the open house. During the open house, I just let it hang. And people would look at the bed, and because the back wall of the trailer is slanted, people would look at the bed and they'd be like, "How do you both fit in there?" And then I kind of push the curtain back and say, "See, there's a little bit more room than you think in this bed." But anyway, at night I would just tape it to the wall with painter's tape, and a year later, I'm still doing that. Right? I still don't have his curtains made, so. I did get them warped. I got them on the loom. I think I might have talked about this last time that I started them. I think I did. But I've started weaving. I'm about a third of the way done because I need 3 panels. And I just warped for the 3 panels that I needed for the back window because I had to buy, I think I explained this last time. This is sounding really familiar. I had to buy new yarn. The warp yarn.
Oh, yes, and the whole matching of it. And,
so the warp yarn, even though it doesn't look the same on the cone, actually is the same and looks exactly the same in the warp. But the weft yarn is different. You can see the difference. And I used it for the hem. And then I started weaving and I started realizing that I am going to have plenty. So I used the new yarn in the hem of the first panel, and then I think I'm not going to use it again unless I really need it for the hem of the, the two edges or the 2 hems of the last panel. But, I was going to be close. My calculation that I had done for how much yarn I had put me, and I overestimated in my calculation, and it put me maybe 30 yards over what I thought I had, that I'd be about 30 to 40 yards short. And I was pretty sure that with my overestimating, I probably had enough, but I didn't want to chance it. So that's why I started, using that weft yarn in the hem. But once I realized how far I can get with one bobbin, I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can make it to the end and still have yarn left. With the warp, I did pretty good. I have only a few yards of the warp left. I did mix in the other warp with some occasional threads, and so I was able to stretch out the warp. But anyway, I'm about a third of the way done, and I have plans to weave tonight. And maybe some weaving tomorrow, and I should be able to get them off the loom pretty quickly. So that's good. It's easy weaving. The Swedish lace pattern is a pretty easy one. So, and then I am thinking. I know I told Robert I would make the same curtains all the way around, but I really am thinking about a different, because it has an accent stripe of brown in the bedroom curtains. And I think I might use a slightly different color. I might use a burgundy or a eggplanty color, or maybe a green.
But it's so subtle. I mean, it's so small from the outside.
They'll
all
look
look
the
the
same.
same. I mean, and even looking at them, you'd have to look at them pretty closely, I think, to see that that's a different color.
It's just one thread. Yeah. So that it won't be. And even if you can see that they're a different color, they will very clearly be the same curtains. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't gotten to that point yet. And I am going to redo the bathroom curtain too, because I've got that, that cute one with the flowers on it that I salvaged from the garage of the rental. I used to have it hanging in the room right here where I'm podcasting, in the guest room. And I have those in the bathroom, but because the sink, the curtains come down close to the sink. So the curtains have absorbed water from the sink, when it gets wet. And there's like a line of rust. Not from the sink. And the sink is not rusted, but like rusty water, Yeah. And I can't get that to come out. So those are on their last legs. They'll be replaced too when I get those curtains. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. I can see the end in sight for these curtains. So that's cool. And then I did have a finished project. Remember those reindeer that I was finishing for my mom? Yeah. So, she had done all the pieces except the antlers, which were this really weird construction of one single crochet turn, one single crochet turn, one single crochet turn. Like, I don't know how you even do that. And so I did them my own way. Did the antlers on one camping trip. And then when we went on this camping trip, I brought all the pieces and I vowed to get them put together before she and Dennis came to visit us at the campsite. So I got them all put together, stuffed them, embroidered their little faces on, and they're done. And she was happy to get them. She, I was thinking she might not want them, and I was going to tell her, no, she has to take them. She can just use them as tags on gifts if she wants, But she had a plan for them the moment I gave them to her. She's like, oh, good. I'll send these two to these two girls and this one to this one. And that's great. Thank you. So I'm glad to have those done. I don't know what she was thinking when she bought this kit. And then I, since I have leftovers of that yarn and it's DK, that got me thinking about using it for the nativity. So I also brought the nativity on the camping trip and was able to knit the donkey, all the pieces for the donkey, thinking about pieces and tedious fiddly knitting, and all the pieces it's only one piece for the sheep. The sheep doesn't have any legs. So I got the donkey.
Is he not supposed to have legs, or you just are not? Or
the pattern doesn't call for legs because the sheep is in the nativity set. The sheep is being carried by the shepherd. But also the sheep is so it's done with these things called a make loop. So it's an interesting stitch. You knit the stitch and then but you don't pull it off the needle, and then you wrap it around your thumb and pull this yarn back behind again, and then you knit through the back loop. I think is through the back. Yeah. And then you knit that same stitch through the back loop, and then you pull it off the needle, and then you pass one of the stitches over the other and locks that loop into place. So the sheep is all these little loops. So I don't think you could actually see legs because there's all these yarn loops. It's just a big ball of yarn loops.
Okay.
It's really cute. So I mean, I guess you might think, oh, well, where's its legs? It's just laying down, The sheep is just laying down.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to make a few sheep, not just one, because this one is white with a black face, and then I have brown yarn. So I think I might make some brown sheep, and then have a really dark brown that's more like a black sheep So I think I might make a couple of those. The sheep were really fun with all those little loops. And of course, any nativity scene that I have has to have lots of sheep in it.
Yes. Well, and I'm looking at the pattern because I see that you've made, okay, let me go back. Is it Mary and Joseph that you made?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, Gloria.
I've made I made Mary and Joseph when I first got the kit and baby Jesus. And then I made Gloria, the angel, last year. Mm-hmm. And so now I have to I haven't opened a new project for the donkey or the sheep yet, but I think I'm going to focus on the barnyard this year and see if I can get some animals. I think I can use the donkey pattern. I haven't stuffed him yet or put him together, but I think I might be able to use the donkey to make a cow because I don't think there's a cow in the original pattern.
Now, my nativity scene that we had as a little kid has camels in it.
Yeah. And I don't know if this one has camels either. The camels are supposed to be like with the three kings. So I might have to figure out how to make a camel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing a camel in the pattern. But it was fun to just take, things I needed to finish for my mom, the little squares, and then the nativity knitting for camping. I didn't knit on my sock at all. I just worked on the fiddly little projects.
Okay, I'm looking at I'm sorry, we're going off on a tangent about this nativity scene, but so was the Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus, was that a kit, did you say?
Yeah, it came in a box with the pattern and the yarn to make. I think the kit said it came with all the yarn to make Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, and the angel.
Okay, because that's what most people have made. But I see somebody here has made, I think she's got a camel, Kelly.
Oh, okay.
So go, if you go to projects.
Yeah, this is a knitted nativity by Anne Franklin, just so those at home can be keeping up with what Marsha and I are doing here.
But yes, so the very first one, CDN's nativity set.
Yeah, I see it. It's like a laying down camel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's in the pattern or what, or if she made it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to take a look. The donkey is really cute. He's a little short-legged. And I ran out of gray yarn, so I made his legs more brown, kind of a dark grayish brown. So I made his legs a darker brown, and I actually didn't make his nose white either. I made his nose a darker brown because I was running out of gray and I didn't want to make a white nose. But you see the sheep that the shepherd is carrying with all those little loops?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll have to, I don't see a camel in the original pattern, but I'll have to look and see how to get that camel because that is cute. I think this kit is, the kit and the pattern is really fun. Mm-hmm. We'll see how much of it I get done this year. I do a little, the fiddly stuff, you can only stand it for so long. So I've done a little bit each year and then put it away in a bag until I get the urge to bring that kind of a project out again. So, and then I think that is it for me. No other projects.
Okay. Well, in terms of events, the only thing we have is the Winter Weave Along continues. That goes through March 31st. Anything we want to say about that? The only thing I will say is I'm not weaving because Kim has her towels on the loom.
Oh, yeah. How are they going?
much better. She corrected, I think at the last episode, I think we talked how she discovered a mistake. So the first 2 towels that she did, we just cut those off, and she fixed the mistake, and she has it tied back on. And I think she did not come Sunday, because I think the Sunday before she started weaving again, and it looks good. But so now she has 6 more towels to do. And as we all know, the weaving actually goes pretty quick. It's the warping, and it takes, for us anyway, is slow. So Kelly, need to get a kit ordered, because I have one kit, but I'm holding off on that because I don't think I can do it on the loom that we have.
We should have a chat before you order a kit about what you could do with the yarn that you have.
Yes. Or we should have a chat. If I do order a kit, we need to have a chat about what kit I order. But we'll talk at another time about,
because I think you would really enjoy having some flexibility and just putting together a warp with the yarns that putting together a warp that you like. I mean, not to say that you might not decide to buy some more yarn, but putting together a warp that you like, and then have the ability to kind of improvise as you weave the towels, improvise with different structures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've done a sampler, you have had the experience of doing twill and some other things besides just tabby. And I have some books with, different weave structures in them that you can, we could look through and find some different things. And then you could also just experiment, like, okay, what happens if I do this combination of treadles? What does that look like? And what happens if I do this combination? And kind of have a chance to see what your warp looks like in different situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that kits aren't a good thing and a fun thing, because you can just get on and go, but I just really like the freedom in weaving to be able to try stuff and experiment. Yeah, no, I think we can talk about that. I think it's a kit for 3 towels, I think. So I'm not wedded to it. I mean, I can do anything I want. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And I did borrow when I went, I don't know if it was the September or the October. I think it was anyway, I went to the Weavers Guild meeting, and they had the library open. I checked out a book of it shows like all these different stitch patterns, but it shows them like if in color. So like if so the pattern's black and white, but then they show what it looks like if you use different colors.
Right.
It's an interesting book, so I could just refer
and that's
to that
fun
too.
To do too. Is like, okay, what does this weft look like with this color? What does this or what does this warp look like with this weft color? What does the warp look like with this other weft color? And there's and there's, I mean, it's fun, but it's also kind of educational, because you get to see, okay, and you get ideas about what you might want to do in the future. So anyway, that's just something to consider, rather than or in addition to buying a kit. Give you a little bit more freedom. And I'm sure I have some other weaving in my future besides the curtains, but I'm glad to have this batch of them on the loom. And then once those come off the loom, I'm going to put another batch right back on. Because I just want to get the fabric done, because then the sewing of them is another, it's not hard, but it's, it's another project. Winter break is a good time to do a sewing project. And if I could get them sewn and onto the, onto the curtain rods in the trailer, before the end of the break, that would be perfect. So we'll see. That might not happen, but I don't have a lot of holiday stuff going on. Aunt Betty will be gone for the holidays, and I'll be hosting my family. Sarah has a Christmas brunch usually, my niece, but they're having to move. So I'll be hosting that. So they'll be over for Christmas Day, but that's it. That's just a small, little thing. So, her family, my mom and Dennis, my brother, that'll be it. So I don't have a lot of holiday responsibilities. We will do some camping. Sorry, Marsha, I apologize.
You lucky thing.
I shouldn't rub it in, right? That's not nice of me.
Well, I should say to our listeners that Kelly and I were talking before the podcast, and I said I'm not going to say this because I sound like such a curmudgeon all the time, but I thought, by God, I'm going to get the Christmas spirit if it kills me. I'm going to get it. I swear I'm going to get it. But I find it a bit I'm a little tired because it just seems like since I came back from DC, I went right into Thanksgiving, and then it just seems like there's all this preparation for, I don't know why, like all this Christmas, like gift giving. You have to figure out what to buy, then you have to go buy it, and then I have to cook Christmas dinner. I shouldn't really complain because we're only doing Christmas Eve. We used to do Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. We're only doing Christmas Eve this year. But I know what's going to happen Christmas Day is Kim, because Kim has the entire week off. So she said she's going to come by and weave, which then means
you have to cook her something.
Well, probably everybody's going to show up and eat dinner anyway.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
When she comes on Sunday, I end up making dinner anyway. And then usually somebody shows up. So anyway, there's no escape. But by God, I'm going to get that Christmas spirit.
Well, I think I've already told the story of having to go out on the 23rd when school ended. The year that school ended really late, going out on the 23rd after work to buy the effing Christmas presents.
Yes, yeah.
I think I've always kind of given myself permission not to even think about Christmas until the semester was over, which, came from being a student and then being a teacher. And so it's often kind of a struggle at the very end to like get into the Christmas spirit. But this year, it feels really super relaxed, honestly. But I do feel excited about Christmas. So
yeah, no, and I will get there. Because I went out to dinner last night with a friend, and I have my former neighbors have invited me to a party on the solstice, and my friend Suzanne is having a party on the 23rd, so a dinner party. So I have to get my act together because I'm going to be out the night before Christmas Eve. So, and that'll be fun. And then what I always like to do is drive around and look at Christmas lights.
Yeah.
So I may do that. So anyway, no, I will get it. I just, sometimes I have these moments where I feel,
like maybe you want to take a long trip for the complete month of December.
And I always think of you, Kelly, though. Anytime I have these thoughts like, oh God, all this work for this ridiculous thing, everything, I always think about you, which you often said that there wouldn't be no holidays if it was not for women.
Yeah, my aunt says that.
Keep it going. Mm-hmm. Oh, is it Aunt Betty that says that? Mm-hmm. But it's true. Like nobody's doing anything. And I think about, when I was growing up, we always, my mother and father, we'd go get big, everybody has stories about getting the Christmas tree, but I have lots of stories about getting the Christmas tree, except it always in Seattle pouring down rain.
Oh, yeah.
So I went last Monday to get my Christmas tree because it was pouring down rain, and that's
what you have to do.
Yes, I got the tree. But so I always put up my mother's tree. I would help her do that. But then I always put up my own tree. Nobody ever helped me put up the tree. I mean, I would go get it. I'd put it up. I'd put the lights on it. And then I'd take it all down. And every time I put an ornament on, I always think, I just got to take this off in a few weeks. That's what I think. So that's not, God, I'm such a curmudgeon right now. Isn't that terrible?
Well,
I'll get it.
We've had years.
I'll get it.
We've had years where I just said, no, let's not even get a tree.
Yeah.
And it, it worked out. It was fine. It didn't, it didn't cause major shift in the tectonic plates of the earth not to have a tree. Mm-hmm. And then there was no tree to put away. And I do also give myself permission to not always decorate the same way. Like I have those ornaments that I hang in the windows of the dining room. Mm-hmm. I don't always put those up. If I don't feel like it, there are years that I don't. And they just stay in the garage. And then the next year when I do take them out, it's like, oh, it's kind of like I haven't seen you in so long. Wow, this is so pretty. Yeah. A little more appreciation.
Old friends are here to visit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this year I wanted to have the cookie exchange. Like I did,
Oh yeah, you always do that.
Exchange,
yeah.
But which actually helps inspire me to get the decorating done. But with the labor unrest situation, because that's a campus activity, invite everybody. Everybody doesn't come, but I, the invitation goes out to everybody on campus, and because I'm so close to work, just stop by and drop off your cookies on your way to work, and then come over at lunch or at the end of the day to pick them up. And but this year it just didn't feel right with all the stuff that was happening and not happening, and all the distrust and bad feelings and all that. It's like, okay. It's a what do you call it? A casualty. The cookie exchange was a casualty of our labor situation this year. Yeah. So I didn't have that jump start. So, but yeah, next year.
Yeah. 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 No, it's good. It's actually, I'm making it pretty simple this Christmas. So I'm not making all the cookies that I normally make. Mm-hmm. It'll be fine.
No Bush Noel.
Listeners, don't listen to me.
Well, no, I think it's a common feeling of just exhaustion, overwhelm, sadness. I mean, people have sadness around Christmas. My dad has had a terrible time in his life feeling good about Christmas. Growing up, his mother died when he was 7. And so, you can imagine what that does to your thoughts about the holidays.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she didn't die during the holidays, but, he doesn't have those childhood Christmas memories that kind of help to sustain all those traditions. So, there are a lot of people who have sadness at this time of year. And
yeah, I mean, I will say, like, my parents are gone. Like, everybody who came Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, all those people are gone.
Right.
Except for my brother.
Yeah.
The one that I was growing up with. Like, of course I had Ben. Everybody that my parents, my grandparents, my aunts, uncles, everybody, cousins, everybody's gone. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, it's a little hard sometimes, I will say. Just hard to be super enthusiastic. Mm-hmm. And then I also find too that I do all the prep. And it reminds me of, this is now in September, I think. Ben and his girlfriend, like, we should have a party. Like, what? Like, maybe we'll invite some people over for dinner tomorrow night. I'm like, okay, great. I said, we can do this. So now, who's the blame?
I'm laughing because I know where this is going.
But anyway, I said, well, we could do, I've never done ribs. How about doing ribs? So I go and I buy these racks of ribs, and I do the marinade, and I do all this prep and everything. And they show up at like 6:00. Everybody shows up at 6:00, and they're like, okay, we're here to help. And I'm like, what the hell are you going to do at 6:00? I mean, I'm just like, what? And so it was super fun. Their friends are super fun. And we just had a great time, and they did clean everything up, put everything in the dishwasher. They were great. And, everybody's getting ready to leave. And Ben's comment was, isn't it great? You can just decide you're going to have a party, and then you just make it happen. You just make it happen. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you didn't do anything. And so there was one of his friends is a bit older than, he's 50, 55 or something. And he was there and he started laughing. He said, I don't think Bennett just happened. I think your mother had something to do with this. Like, yes, I am an ally.
That's good. I think that might have to be the title of our episode. You just make it happen.
Like magic. I just make it happen. It's like, this is like a psychology session, like a therapy session now. But I like to cook. I do like it. There's aspects of it I really like, but then I get kind of resentful too. Like, oh, I can't, like, I'm probably I'm not alone. Probably other people feel this way. Like, I kind of want to do it and I get kind of excited about it, but then I realize, oh, wait a minute, where's my team behind me?
Right.
It's like you're teaching. Okay, where's the team behind me? Oh, there's nobody behind me. I'm just doing.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
this could be. Remember how my headstone was going to read.
Oh no, I forgot.
I can't remember now. Oh, I'm not buying any more yarn. I'm not buying any more fleece, right? Yours could be Marsha Failer making it happen since then your birthday. Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so I have to write this down, Kelly. What do we think it's going to be?
Just make it happen.
Going to be? Just make it happen. Okay.
Oh my goodness. And I'm not going to edit this out. I'm not going to do editing this week. I'm just going to put this up on the site cuz I want to get it out early.
Yeah.
So people are seeing how the sausage is made.
Someday we'll get back to editing.
Yes.
The new year.
Yes.
Okay, well, Kelly, I think with that, we'll say goodbye. I think we've done all
before it dissolves into something not worth listening to.
I'm gonna go. I actually have to take the dog for a walk, and you need to get to the post office.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And my dogs are bugging me too. So
yeah, let's just make it happen, Kelly.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Alrighty. We'll talk in about 2 weeks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.